This is as groovy as it gets.
Oprah, Can You Hear Me? Oprah vs. Donald 2020 is a conversation by Julie Benetti and Susan Barbaro and a production of EI Alliance, copyright 2019. America is courtesy of New Threads off their new album, Felonious Wilma.
Hi, this is Susan Barbaro, and I am here tonight with Julie Benetti, and she's eating an oatmeal cupcake that I made. She promised me we'd get some pizza, but instead we started drinking wine. And, well, all I have to say is it ended there.
We're really getting excited about an Oprah run.
That's
all I can say, because somebody from Massachusetts completely threw their hat in the ring.
Did she officially?
I don't know. I saw a hashtag on Twitter.
All I know is I think she wants me to go and have a beer at her house.
She wants me to come in with Budweiser.
all I gotta say is, I don't know. I'm gonna need a lot of beer.
I would rather have a limoncello and Oprah's.
But Oprah. Okay. That was because we know that Oprah likes to get gift baskets of lemons. I mean, how many lemons do you get? And at some point, you got to do something with them.
That's
limoncello.
Right. Limoncello. It's a really easy recipe, or so I've seen online.
Okay, so we're sitting here. We decided to do this podcast because we started thinking, wouldn't it be fun to really watch an interesting debate and an interesting campaign? I mean, come on. I mean, not for anything. Again, we're from Boston, so I'm going to say it. Actually, when John Kerry ran way back in the Heinz campaign? We're back with against Bush. And I went in with my kids. We went into Boston thinking, well, maybe, it was completely dead. And I got to tell you, I know I'm going out on a limb, but you know what? For cripe's sake, this is boring stuff. I'm so sick of hearing the same BS from the same mouths saying the same thing. It puts me to sleep. And one thing that Trump said, remember when he started running, and then he's like, "Oh well, I should get some of the ad money because people are watching the campaign debates because of him." Mm-hmm. He wasn't off track. Wouldn't it be fun to watch Oprah get up there and have a conversation?
You telling me? Yes, I would.
For cripe's sake, you keep pouring wine into my glass, and here you are pulling up your water.
I would say it would be very exciting and interesting for me because from that standpoint, I would just wait for Oprah to say, "I'm Oprah." When any question is addressed to her, she can say, "I'm Oprah." If you have
not listened to the I'm Oprah podcast,
have to.
Julie's upset. Julie's very upset because before we did it, she said, "This is the one that's going viral. This is it, Susan. I know, this is it." And of all our podcasts, they're going crazy. The Mary Tyler Moore one, and some of the other ones, but the I'm Oprah, and you tend to think that it's mushed in between some really good ones. So please, if you're listening, go back and listen to the I'm Oprah, because Julie, she keeps giving me all this, and I'm trying so hard not to swear. She keeps giving me all this BS because she's like, "What's going on with this one?" That's all you ever say.
Well, the interesting thing about it is really the basics of it is it's so simple. It's Occam's razor. We know Oprah. We've seen Oprah. We've sat there when she's done her Super Soul Sundays. We get the vibration of the energy. We know where she's coming from.
Well,
so for her to go out and have an expression or even a tagline,
wouldn't it be
I'm Oprah. It makes so much sense. And that's the simplicity of how she answers any debate question. You were talking about the debates before.
Yes, I was.
And really, she can go, if she just says, "I'm Oprah."
I
understand what that means, don't you? I don't know why I understand it, but I do. I mean, I'm into other things. I'm into spiritual things. I'm into science. I mean, to a lot of different things. I write
We're
all the
writing
time
another book, so when the time comes, she's into some other stuff, and she will explain it, because we are working on some other stuff which will remain unnamed at the moment.
Right, but we are working on some very interesting and creative elements that are not in the political realm yet. To say, I'm Oprah, and that's all you have to say, that's beautiful.
You know what's interesting is that we always call ourselves apolitical. I just thought of something really funny, but I'm not saying it. But we consider ourselves apolitical. And so we don't go into, I mean, I'm going to say it because, we've had some wine, so I'm naming names now. Rachel Maddow, seriously, how many times is she going to blame the Russians? I'm so sick of it. Please blame the Spaniards. Blame the Italians. Blame someone. I can't stand listening anymore to Putin's root-tootin'. I can't stand it anymore.
The funny thing
Please say something different. And people watch it.
We like to venture to Salem. And when we went to Salem and we were visiting a friend and we were hoping to have an exploratory, exciting, evening, exploring energy, and we heard from someone that came into the shop and said, it's the Russians.
And wait a minute, we have to just be very clear about one thing. The person that we went to see, because we do live near Salem, Mass. And we're talking about Salem, Massachusetts. And when we went there, this is someone who's, I don't know how to say it, who's well known for being highly psychic and being into the energy of Salem. That's what I will say, because I don't want to give her a title. And we went there and we walk in and we're like, oh, okay, this is interesting, And she went on about Trump. And I don't really care if you like him or don't like him. That's not my thing. I'm not for him or against him. I think what he did was an interesting study, which is why we went into the energy of Trump. It wasn't in the book. It's not about whether or not we like him or not. Because honestly, and I got to again watch my language. Who cares whether Julie, why do I care if you like him or not? Why do I care if anyone likes him or not? But if we look at what he's doing, that's an interesting conversation. No one does that. And Rachel Maddow goes on. She's so freaking boring. Please give me something. I mean, my head is like crying for some information. I don't mean information that you're going to feed me. I need something to make me think. And when we went to this other person, and here is, I'm going to say, a goomba. She was a freaking goomba. And she's in television, and she does things in Salem, and here she is talking. She's like, it's the Russians! And you and I look at each other, and we're like, these people are freaking crazy.
I mean, there was no conversation.
It was
past
boring.
What is in the nature of the day if you turn on any TV channel. And, I will have to say that on occasion, once in a while, I will turn on MSNBC.
Yeah, you do.
Something,
I don't.
And you don't. So you get infuriated and frustrated by the fact that I share with you. Can you believe they're still talking about the Russians? What? It's not even me that's getting infuriated. If I watch
I
it
have
for 5
to believe
minutes,
other people are like us. I mean, I really believe it. I have to, and I'm going to go out on a limb. And even Trump has got to be sick of hearing the same crap about him. It's almost like, if you don't like me, that's fine, but geez, find something else other than you don't like my hair. I got my hair cut. I don't like your haircut. That's great. After 2 years of hearing, I don't like your haircut. Can you pick something else? I mean, do you like my shirt? Do you not like my earrings? Come up with something else. Stop saying the same baloney over and over.
And so the funny place I go is I extract that and I say, here's a person who's making how many millions a year talking about the same thing.
Boring.
So let's drill it down to the regular average person, which we all are.
Right.
And the regular average person goes into work and talks about the same thing. Really? Would that happen? I mean, at what point would your boss not call you in and go,
right.
We need to get someone else in here because
what's interesting? We talk
stodgy.
about we're the average person, but guess what? So is every celebrity, superstar, athlete, whatever you want, a rock star, whatever. They are just like us. I've met, it's so funny. I went, certain places and I meet them and I don't do what everybody does. And when I meet them, I'm not in that same space of being like in awe. And I'm like, oh my God, they say the same thing to me as does everybody else. So they are people. We tend to forget that. And I have to believe, again, unless you just want your adrenals pumped up and hit my adrenals and get me upset. I mean, if that's what you want, then yeah, that's out there. But I think a lot of people are like, okay, enough already.
But again, that's if you're entertaining yourself, and I use that word lightly, with social media. I saw a post this morning on LinkedIn about Lady Gaga, and I don't have anything against Lady Gaga, but she was conversing about, someone had posted about how she was conversing about, I don't take selfies with everybody. I don't do this. And I'm thinking, who cares?
That's what
really?
Is, right.
I mean, what about the average person?
No, that's fine that she's doing whatever.
I don't mean anything bad by saying the average person. I mean, we're all people. Hello.
So if I turn around and say, well, I don't take selfies with people, who cares? Who cares? Why do you care?
I know.
And so she's no different than any of us.
I know. And it's funny, let me be a celebrity. Let me rank in all this money. And that's our own fault for allowing this, for paying the high fees for whatever kind of tickets we're buying to go to things that are associated with celebrities.
So, the only thing I can't wait to go is to New Threads. I can't wait to go see New Threads and pay top dollar. Because their stuff is awesome. We're going to go. And they are like many other bands that are kind of coming up through the ranks, that are working hard, creative. That's what we're doing. A lot of people are doing it. And that's one of the beautiful things about, podcasts. Anyone can do it. You don't have to somehow, I remember you telling me the story of Madonna sitting there begging them to play her music. We don't have to do that anymore. Mm-hmm. I mean, you have to understand the technology. And thankfully, I will say it, thankfully, Julie's got that brilliant mind that can go in there and wrangle the technology. Mm-hmm. And so, that point of, there's nowhere else to go but listen to Rachel Maddow and MSNBC and Fox News and whoever you want to choose. That's no longer a limitation. You now have the opportunity to listen to anyone, to listen to whatever podcast you want to do and listen to.
Right. And, in the sensation of you discussing limitations, I mean, really, when all of us step into possibility, there aren't any limitations. And why wouldn't we step into possibility? Because possibility incurs a huge arrangement of things that we can do and experience and share. And isn't that what life is all about? And as we're sitting here and we're contemplating, hello, Oprah, how's it going?
Oprah, we have some wine here. We have a really great red wine that's from California. I know you're in Chicago, but it's a really good red wine.
It is, and it's quite delicious.
And we think you should have, we'd love to share it.
And we started out these podcasts, kind of
having
just
fun,
entertaining ourselves with this and asking, what would occur? And we like to do that because we like to go into the energy and we like to explore, and we open to the possibility of what could occur.
And something what's interesting is we are close to 10,000 complete hits, 10,000. And we just started this just a little while ago, just a few months ago. We actually, got to the point where we could put more in. And so what that tells me is that there's a lot of people out there that are sick and tired of hearing the same garbage that's being strewn across, in one respect, I will say about, Trump, he says it's fake news. The truth is it's biased. There's no unbiases. Everything is biased. Everyone has an opinion, and guess what? They want to tell it. And that's fine, but that's not, to me, is not news. Mm-hmm. News is when you just basically say, this is what happened, and you take it from wherever you take it and go wherever you want with it. And so I think, it's interesting. We had fun doing this. And, the fun part is that we're having fun tonight doing it, having that conversation, because we think that's what really people want. That's what we want. And I don't think, like you said, we're the average person.
And again, right. And where would you get that conversation? Because as you say about what the news is and what the interpretation of what is occurring is, how do we know? How do we know any of that? And so when we look towards, what could occur with the presidency, I mean, President Trump has done a huge, amazing thing where he's reconstructed the skill set of what the presidency is. I even find myself not being completely, in the political realm of things, contemplating what does it mean and what is he doing?
Think that's
and I think, and even when I look at the
concept.
science of it and the energy of it, and when I contemplate, what could he possibly been doing? Nobody is asking those things, and why not? We live here, and that's the vibration of what our existence is, and why wouldn't we ask those things to contemplate more about what we could experience and where we could go? And so when we project this to a sensation of Oprah running in 2020, it's exciting because Oprah has been out there, because whether or not we know her, we know her.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm not going to say, hey, I hang out, we have wine, we go for dinner.
Well,
no,
maybe
but
we will.
yeah, who knows? Yet we know her from whatever existence that we have. We all know Oprah. And from the same standpoint, we all knew Donald Trump.
Right.
So what does that mean? What happens? And that changes the
I don't know
structure
if
of the philosophy of the presidency.
So I don't know if people out there really grasp what you just said. I mean, what you're saying is that when Trump went into the presidency, we all, for the first time ever questioned, what is the president? What does he represent? We never, ever asked that. We never did. I never did. Okay, I will say me. And I would think if you asked most people, no one did. But Trump came in, and guess what? We are now asking, what is it that makes a president? And, the previous podcast we did, and what do you get? What is the benefit of being a president? I mean, that's the next question too. And we're not going to go back because we did a podcast, and I'm not going to regurgitate what we said.
Right.
But it does make one wonder, what are we thinking of? I mean, because you could take this and then we can go across the world, and I'm going to go to the UK because we have a ton of UK listeners.
Right.
And it makes you wonder, what is the whole monarchy?
Right.
What does the Queen represent? And, William and Kate, and we all watch the weddings, and we all get it. What does that really represent? And a lot of this stuff is because it's tradition and it's passed down. We completely had that completely uprooted when Trump stepped in. Right. And so what's interesting, so I mean, that was really a very brilliant, poignant point that you made, that you say the point and then you go on. It's like, whoa, wait a second. Let's go back to the point, because that's really a big contemplation.
Well, it's funny because there's specific elements in that where it has been said that in the United States, in North America, in the United States, there's a resilience to question that because we don't have a monarchy. And the expression of why do we go full force for celebrity? I mean, it's ridiculous to me how many celebrity who are young, who are turning out and saying, oh, we're part of the Illuminati, blah, blah, blah. I mean, I want to go, come on, where is this sourced in? And the younger people are jumping onto that caravan. And there's an element of that, yet there's also an element of, and it makes a lot of sense because when you go back to the UK and you go back to the monarchy and what they look at, they give an expression of what celebrity is versus what it is here. And where we look at here, where, there's been that quotation of, if you're not looking at a presidency or a king or whatever you're looking at, how do you relate that in that sensation? And so there's a big difference, which is funny because, of course, we're talking from Boston. And this is where the Tea Party occurred.
Right.
So you want to go to, the British soldiers, you want to go all the way back into history. Yet what really matters, because we take it to the sensation of where we want to take this and where we want to go with this and where we want to all move as a country and a being.
What's interesting is during Trump's inauguration, I was in Canada with my daughter. watching it. And it was almost like she said to me, you know what, Mom? She goes, isn't that kind of funny? It's almost like, you think of Back to the Future, like you look into the future and Trump's being inaugurated, and you go back to like, what? Are you kidding me? And so when I was there, when he was being inaugurated, there was, we know there's so many things of there's so many people here. And then they said, the news says there was no one, in the parade and blah, blah, blah. But what was interesting is one of the commentators said that Ronald Reagan had said he couldn't imagine anyone being in that position who didn't have a background in acting. And if you think about what you just said about the UK and about celebrity, and I even go back to, I think of Trump, this is funny, was that a Freudian slip? I think of Clinton playing his saxophone and being like, he was like a celebrity, I'm talking about Bill Clinton. And sometimes I sit and I think about that. And so they said that during his inauguration, I'm up with Canadians watching this. And, there was a point where I started thinking about it and I was like, it's interesting. They were saying that, and now here Trump is, and Trump's been a celebrity, really. I mean, and it's almost like it was custom wrapped and handed to Oprah.
Right, exactly.
So is she going to do it?
That's an interesting question. And we've received vibrations of the energy before this, and you can go back and listen to those podcasts because, like you say, we're not going to regurgitate what the energy is. Yet that's a question. Is she going to do it? And when is she going to tell us that she's going to do it? Thank you for listening to this production from EI Alliance. Check out our Amazon authors pages for books and podcasts, along with our Donald Trump and Oprah books for this series. Find great music by New Threads on iTunes, Spotify, and on newthreads.us.